listening to the Blue Jay Breakdown.
Welcome into the Blue Jay Breakdown. Anna Bellinghausen and Jacob Padilla alongside with you, recapping Creighton's little late night game, 92-84 win over Iowa. We are awake. We are alive. I think you left the stadium, what, about 1:30 in the morning? 2:30?
Something like that, like 1:30-ish, somewhere in that area. It was a fun game, but let's not do the 9:15 tip-off very often.
The 9:15 tip-off was a little tough, but I think Omaha showed out pretty well. They still had a sellout. It was very loud, one of the better non-conference atmospheres.
Yeah, had a little bit of Hawkeye in there. Started Go Hawks chant at one point, and then I think Creighton made a play, and the Creighton fans just drowned them out. So it's always fun when you got a little bit of visiting presence in there that kind of go back and forth with. So. But yeah, it was great atmosphere, and the game absolutely lived up to what we thought it could.
Absolutely. Trey Alexander, the biggest story of the night, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, just 1 assist short of a triple-double. I think that would have been the first in Creighton's history, a true triple.
With assists.
Yeah, with assists, not blocks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, man, talk about a guy that's making history. He's just been unreal so far. What'd you like from him?
Yeah, and honestly, as good as he was, he left some points out there on the court as well. He had a few buckets at the rim that he had been finishing in the first two that didn't go down in this one. Only 1 of 4 from 3. So, yeah, best player on the court, and he still could have been even better, which I think has to get you excited as a Creighton fan, knowing kind of what he's been so far this season and the leap that it appears that he's made. Averaging 21 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, shooting 60% from the field through 3 games. Yeah. Every game he's gone out there and just been consistently the best player on the court. So he took over in the second half. 6 of those assists were in the second half. He was at the center of what was the decisive run and some of the most impressive basketball that I've seen anybody play in a long time.
Well, let's talk about the first half because it wasn't the prettiest for Creighton. Yeah. They trailed as many as 7 points in that half. Kalkbrenner wasn't very involved. What did you notice that wasn't working well for Creighton in that first?
Well, it was interesting. One, they weren't shooting well. They went 5 of 18 from 3 in the first half, which sometimes it'll happen. But Iowa had a good game plan for Creighton's defense with Ben Krikke just finding that gap in the defense and knocking down mid-range jumpers from all over the court. That is kind of the shot that Creighton wants you to take. And to his credit, he was knocking them down and kept them in the game. Eventually, in the second half, Creighton started hitting threes, and they didn't quite hit as many of those mid-range ones, and Creighton was able to pull away. But that's Iowa had a really good game plan going in, and Creighton didn't quite execute as well as I think McDermott would have liked to see. And so that's kind of, I think what a lot of it was just kind of some shooting struggles there early on. But they managed to kind of hang around. They never, like you said, they fell behind 22-15 and then put together a little run to take the lead. And then it was back and forth the rest of the half there. So that was the important thing is they weren't playing great, but they found a way to kind of hang around long enough until things started clicking for them.
Right. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that halftime speech because Creighton came out on a 10-2 run out of the half, got Kalkbrenner involved, and then Trey Alexander just started taking off even more. What did you like about the second half execution?
Well, so not even just the 10-2, they scored on 15 of their first 19 possessions.
Wow.
They scored 37 points in 11 minutes because 7 of those were 3-point possessions. They had 5 threes and had 2 and 1s as part of those 15 buckets. I don't know I've ever seen a stretch like that between 2 like competent high major teams. So that's, I mean, everybody was involved. Everybody was hitting shots. At one point early in that run, Mason Miller got in the paint, pump fake, defender flew by. Instead of going up for the layup, he kicked it to Baylor Shireman in the corner for a 3. Next time down, Baylor rifles a pass cross court to Trey for a 3, and then they get a stop and a Kalkbrenner run out and layup for an 8-0 run to force a timeout less than 3 minutes into the half. So I send him back out there. 2 minutes goes by, and Fran McCaffrey has to call another timeout because I think that was after this time Kalkbrenner got a dunk. Another run out, beat him down the floor. They started getting stops, getting runouts there. And that was ultimately the key. They got enough stops to where they could get themselves into rhythm, get some easy shots. And then the tough ones started going down from there.
Absolutely. And you also have to mention the bench as well. They were huge in this one.
Yeah.
Farabello, Fred King giving Kalkbrenner some valuable minutes off. What did you like about the bench?
And that was kind of an interesting thing too, is Stephen Ashworth did not score, only played 22 minutes, just wasn't having a great night. And Coach Mack rode Farabello Creighton career high 25 minutes out there, put up 14 points, had a huge 4-point play in the first half during that run where they got back in front and kind of got Creighton back into it there. Did not turn the ball over, 3 boards. So he was just really solid. Hit a couple of free throws late to help seal it after Iowa had cut it down to 5 and started putting the pressure on. So he was just terrific out there making plays and playing heavy minutes. And then Fred King as well, especially Kalkbrenner got in a little bit of foul trouble in the first half, picked up 2 of them. And King came in, and that was as well as he's played in a Creighton uniform. I think he obviously had some bigger statistical games last year while Kalkbrenner was out, but in terms of importance to winning and the way he played, this is one of his best performances. Had 12 points, 5 of 6 shooting, 5 rebounds in just 12 minutes. Was finishing strong all over the offensive glass, rolling hard to the rim. That opened up some other guys once they got the ball to him for a couple of dunks. So it's huge performance. And then Isaac Trout hit a couple of threes as well. So he had 32 bench points, which they only topped, like you look at just the high major games last year and tournament games, they only scored 20, only got 20 plus points off the bench 3 times, twice against St. John's and once against Georgetown. So like, does that even really count?
No.
The high was 29. Already 3 games into this season, they've gotten 32 points off their bench against a high major team.
Every year, I feel like everyone says, oh, Creighton's depth this year. But I think this year is the true year of depth.
Well, and the exciting thing about that is Isaac Trout and Frederick King are only going to get better. Josiah Dofer is only going to get better. He even got in there for 3 seconds and made a play. At the end of the half there, got the steal and almost made the half-court shot. The place would have went nuts right off the back rim. So everybody stepping on the court is contributing, and guys are finding spots to get out there, and whether it's rebounding, whether it's knocking down shots, finishing at the rim, they got really good bench minutes, and I expect that to continue to get better and better, especially as they have a chance to continue to play as the non-conference plays out. Continue to gain confidence, which isn't something that happened last year. They got to play in the first 3 against low major in blowout situations. And then after that, it was just a slew of tough games with Kalkbrenner out, with down in the Maui tournament and some
Texas.
of the other tough ones. Yes. It just wasn't a chance for those guys to really get into rhythm. And by the time they got to Big East play, they hadn't played much. And so it's hard for them to feel confident in that role. Already early on, I think we're seeing a new level of confidence from those guys.
If you're a Creighton fan, are you satisfied with the win in just the margin of points, though? 92-84.
No, and I think Greg McDermott even said it afterward, like, I got to get in the film room on Thursday and really break this down because there's a lot to learn from. They have to get better. They just happened to that's what he said. They just outscored them tonight. And Creighton doesn't want to be the team that just outscores you. They want to be a complete basketball team. And this was not the defensive performance that they wanted. And again, some of that was credit to Iowa for making good plays against what Creighton was willing to give up. But there was also some execution breakdowns. They gave up some transition stuff early on that, and some of those mid-range are easier than they want it to be. So it's not like you're just letting them take those shots. You're trying to force them into contested mid-range. And too often those were wide open, uncontested, nobody near them. So definitely some things. And I think it's good to get a game like this out under your belt early on where you come out with a win, but there's a lot of teaching tape that you can learn from and use to move forward.
What are your biggest takeaways for Blue Jay fans of what this team can be in their potential and their ceiling?
I think this team has a chance to be the best offensive team in the country. They moved up to the 4th spot in KenPom on offense after this game. The top 90 points in all 3 games, shooting ridiculous percentages from the field, shooting well from 3. Then now they're getting bench production as well to go with a really talented starting lineup. So The question is, all right, where's that defense going to come along? You still have some questions there, but you've got a 2-time defensive player in the year on that back line there that will always kind of be your trump card on that end. Mm-hmm. And Trey Alexander, who is a really, really good perimeter defender as well. So they've got the pieces to kind of continue to figure it out. But if that defense can stay top 25, they've got a chance to be as good as anybody in the country this year.
Mm-hmm. Next game, Texas Southern at home, and then they head down to Kansas City. Jacob, I believe you'll be there too, covering that, some good matchups as well. What do you think the biggest jumps need to be in these next games before you kind of hit those tougher ones, especially after Texas Southern?
Yeah, just continue to kind of figure out the rotation, hopefully get Josiah Doselaren for some minutes here and there to get kind of him some confidence, make him an option. Jonathan Lawson as well, if you want to go a little bit deeper on the bench.
Yeah, I haven't really heard about him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the 10th man, and they're running basically an 8-man rotation at this point. So Doser's 9th, Lawson is 10th, and I mean, it's hard to play 10, 11 guys in competitive basketball games. So it's not really going to be something, but it would be nice to have Jason Green. Hopefully can get back in the mix at some point, get healthy. And I think he had another doctor's appointment to make sure everything is healing as it should be. So you'll have him in the mix at some point here in the non-conference as well to just be another option there. So continue to kind of see those guys and then just keep building that chemistry, particularly on the defensive end. Like you said, got some things to polish up there, but offensively, it's hard to ask for them to be better than they have been thus far.
Absolutely. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for joining me. This has been the Blue Jay Breakdown.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.